Like in the heart of the Middle East, a crisis unfolds that demands global attention: the escalating conflict in Rafah. This city, wedged between Egypt and the Gaza Strip, has become a focal point in the ongoing hostilities between Israel and Hamas. Thousands of Gazans are fleeing into Rafah, seeking refuge from relentless airstrikes, turning this city into a strategic hotspot. The situation took a dramatic turn when a significant number of Israeli warplanes launched an intensive bombing campaign targeting the underground network of tunnels used by Hamas, known as the Metro. This extensive web of tunnels serves multiple purposes for Hamas, from storage and transport to launching attacks. The Israeli Defense Forces aim to dismantle this network, a move that could significantly impact the dynamics of this conflict. Yet as the military strategy intensifies, Rafah teeters on the edge of a humanitarian crisis. As the tension escalates, Rafah finds itself at the crossroads of military strategy and humanitarian crisis. Behind the headlines of war, a humanitarian disaster lurks in the shadows of Rafah. As conflict escalates, the living conditions in Rafah are deteriorating rapidly. Thousands of displaced individuals face immense challenges, from water shortages and limited electricity to communication blackouts. In the midst of this crisis, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, or UNRWA, is striving to provide essential aid. Yet the agency is grappling with inadequate funding and allegations of ties with Hamas, adding another layer of complexity to an already intricate situation. International calls for support are growing louder, with the global community recognizing the urgent need to bolster UNRWA's efforts. But delivering aid to the area is proving to be a Herculean task, with restrictions and the ongoing conflict severely hampering efforts. The potential consequences of a full-scale invasion loom large, with international warnings painting a grim picture of catastrophic fallout. The global response is a mix of apprehension and urgency as the world grapples with the reality of a crisis that could have far-reaching implications. As the world watches, the balance between military objectives and humanitarian needs teeters on a thin line. In the corridors of power, decisions are made that will shape the fate of Rafah. As we delve into the political landscape, we find the Israeli military's plans unfolding. These are not just strategies on a battlefield, they are the blueprints of a nation's stance in an escalating conflict. Yet, the lack of a clear strategy communicated to the U.S. has raised eyebrows across the Atlantic. The U.S., under the Biden administration, has been vocal about its concerns. The call for a more precise military approach echoes in the hallowed halls of Washington. The aim is to minimize civilian casualties, a noble goal in the midst of chaos, yet a challenging one in the fog of war. Adding to the complexity is the consideration of conditioning future military aid. This move, though controversial, underscores the administration's belief in accountability and strategic precision. As political and military strategies intertwine, the path to peace becomes more convoluted. As the dust settles, the implications of the Rafah crisis reverberate beyond its borders. Ceasefire discussions are on the horizon, with Egypt, Israel, and Hamas at the negotiation table. The outcome of these talks could have a profound impact on Rafah, potentially bringing a much-needed respite to this embattled region. Despite international pressure, however, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu remains firm in his stance to continue operations in Rafah. Meanwhile, the United States is diligently working behind the diplomatic curtain, seeking to mitigate a large-scale military operation that could further escalate the crisis. But the ripples of this conflict extend even further. The Rafah crisis has put regional stability on a knife edge, with the potential to disrupt the already volatile Middle East. It also poses a significant challenge to U.S.-Israel relations as the Biden administration grapples with balancing its commitment to Israel's security and responding to increasing calls for a more nuanced approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In the quest for peace, the Rafah crisis reminds us of the delicate dance between military might and humanitarian necessity.